Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's exciting. This is the last video of 2021. So thank you for joining me here today. And excuse the mess in the shithole, if you will. I'm trying to clean it up so it's not anymore. So please, if you're brand new to the channel, subscribe. If you say, oh, I saw somebody's list, I'm going to check out this asshole's list and see what it's all about. Hit that notification button if you're already subscribed, and it helps out tremendously. And thank you so much. Going to be a fun show to end out the year. It's top 10 best movies. When I was doing Schmoes Know, for those of you who are familiar with the Schmoes Know, we used to do, Mark Ellis and I used to do a list every year, the best and the worst. I'm not going to do worst this year, and it's the same reason that my best list is going to be a bit limited, being completely up front. The second half of the year, I watched a lot more movies than I did the first half of the year. There's a lot of stuff that I have missed out. So if you're like, well, where's this movie? Where's that movie? Chances are I probably didn't see it. But I was trying to catch up through the second half of the year, and these are the movies that I liked the most. These are the movies that I had put in my top 10. So if I'm missing your favorite movie, apologies. I can't wait to see and hear your list. And by the way, I'm going to ask you guys to do that. It's one of the things we've been doing a lot, whether it's on Sith Council. I just did the comic book movies list. Please, in the comments section, list yours. I want to hear your top 10. I respond to everyone. Every comment that comes into this channel, I respond to it because I believe that YouTube was started to create community. I think that somewhere along the way, it's lost that, whether it's the high, networks doing videos and all those types of things, and no one's responding to anybody. Well, I try to respond to every single comment that comes in. So it has helped us. It has helped us tremendously. I'm excited. Thank you for being part of it. 30,000 subscribers or 31,000 subscribers already in the course of just 4 months on this channel. So thank you. All right, let's get into it. As I said, these are the movies that I had a chance to see, the ones that I really liked, and coming in at number 10. Number 10, and that would be, ladies and gentlemen, Val. So this is a documentary that I actually had a chance to watch, I think it was like maybe 4 months before it came out. My buddy, Andrew Freed, who's a great producer, was a producer on this film. And he had sent it to me, and I got a chance to look at it, and I was blown away by it. I was blown away by this movie. This is, for those people who don't know, Val Kilmer, who was a very prominent actor in the mid-'80s, early '90s, from whether he was playing Batman or in Top Gun or playing Jim Morrison in The Doors, so many different roles that he had, and that's just to name a few. And you see what he did growing up. He videotaped everything. I mean, he videotaped everything. And he had a really tragic story that I was not aware of. I was aware of the fact that he has throat cancer now, and it's hard for him to speak, and you see it throughout this. But you just go back and you see parts of his life and things that he did, and it's incredible the way that they were able to turn this man's life through all the video footage and stuff that he has into this story and this narrative. And it's some heartbreaking, heartwarming. There's a moment where he's with his son as they're going back to I think it's Juilliard, I believe, it's where he went to school. I might be wrong, but I thought it was. And they were on the way over, and Val is exhausted, and he just kind of leans his head on his son's shoulder, and it's just a really sweet moment. And you hear his son, who's narrating the thing the entire time, and it sounds just like him. It's on Amazon. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, you really should. It's a fascinating look into this man's life. I was very honored to be able to see it early, and I wanted to kind of rave about it. And I'm kind of bummed that this channel wasn't really a thing at the time when I saw it, because I would have liked to let more people know about it. I think enough people know about it now, but I would have liked to spread the word. So hopefully you can go check that out, because it's a really good movie. So that comes in at number 10. So then coming in at the 9 spot for me is Eternals. And I know a lot of people go, what? That movie sucks. I like it. Sue me. I enjoyed it. And if you watched my comic book ranking video, I said one of the reasons that I really liked it, I saw some people who said they felt it was formulaic. I felt the opposite. I felt, to me, it was more brand new. It was fresh. It was more of a science fiction movie than the normal Marvel flavor, and I dug that about it. I liked what Chloe Zhao did with the movie in general. I liked the fact that it was 240, whatever it was, 235, the runtime. But to have that many characters and for me to say, okay, I know what that person's objective is. I know what that person's objective is. I like the idea. I like when movies are a little slower sometimes. I don't need everything to be big, booming action. Everything needs to happen. And I throw it back to the Boba Fett argument. It was like, nothing happened in that show. So much happened in that show. And this is one of those movies, to me, a lot happened without a lot happening. And I don't know, there was just something about it. I responded to it, but I also understood, to be completely honest, people who didn't like it, people who thought it was dull. I liked the style. I liked the way that she put it all together. I liked the performances. I like to see more inside of that lore and where it's going to go next, the way that they set particular things up. So that was my I think that was the one I'm going to see a lot of comments on. Going, I wouldn't put that movie in there. Well, this, again, my list, and I really enjoyed that movie. So that comes in at the 9 spot. That is Eternals, which came out, which was the first movie I saw back in the theater, too. So I wonder if that had anything to do with it. All right, so coming in at number 8, Free Guy. Now, I wouldn't have imagined in a million years that this movie would be anywhere near my top 10. And I'm not going to say that it's because of a lack of movies in 2021, because I really enjoyed watching this movie. It was like one of the first reviews I did on this channel, and it was months after it had come out, and I hadn't seen it yet. And I watched it, and you just feel good watching it. And Ryan Reynolds brings his style, and Sean Levy, who also did another underrated movie that I didn't think I was going to like, in Real Steel, directs this movie. And it plays fun, and there's some really clever writing into it. It's like a Truman Show meets Ready Player One. There's a whole bunch of different things going on in this movie that I think was just an enjoyable ride. And I watched it with my wife. We didn't know what to expect. We were laughing the whole time. We felt good the whole time watching it. It was just it was a pleasant experience watching it. It was one of those movies where, like I said, I'd heard good things about it, but I hadn't seen it in a bit. Always been a Ryan Reynolds fan, but as you know, sometimes he's hit or miss with certain movies that he does. And I think like Burn Notice, Burn Notice, that's a television show. What was the one that he did with The Rock and Gal Gadot? You guys tell me. Either way, Red Notice, that was called Red Notice. Red something. Not good is what I call it. But this movie I liked. This movie I liked a lot. I had a blast with it. So that's my number 8. I'm curious what you guys thought about that one. Free Guy. Ryan Reynolds has this character who is he's a video game guy. He's a video game character who just simulation over and over and over again, keeps getting killed in this kind of Grand Theft Auto place, and then eventually he wakes up, pops out of the Matrix, if you will, but he's virtual. He's not an actual human being. And Taika Waititi is in this, who plays a great role. He's great in everything that he is. What was he? And he was in another movie that's on my list that I'll talk about momentarily. But number 8 is Free Guy. All right, so coming in at 7. Another movie I knew nothing about going into it, just knew that I liked the people involved in it, and that's Tick, Tick, Boom with Andrew Garfield, with Lin-Manuel Miranda in his first, his directorial, I think, debut, at least feature. And this one tells the story of Jonathan Larson, who was the writer, for Rent and some other plays, and it's just his evolution of just kind of breaking into the business and how he did it and the passion that he had. And it is a musical, obviously, but it was a different kind of musical, and it was a musical that, to me, made a little bit more sense. Like, I know when people have problems with musicals, and I understand why, it's as they're walking to a grocery store and they start singing about getting a sandwich and what kind of meat they want on their sandwich, and people are like, no, people don't do that. In this, he's in the middle of he's in musical theater, and his gift is that he can just start singing and come on up with lyrics, and he's at a party and he starts doing it, but it's not like it's as everybody's been at parties where someone starts freestyling or do this, but the way that he does it, Andrew Garfield, it is Andrew Garfield, this is one of the best performances I've ever seen at Andrew Garfield. He had a great year, obviously, this year, but this was the one. He should be nominated. I don't think he's going to win, but I do think he should be nominated for this because, boy, does he invest as Larson. He really, really, you believe him, you understand what he wants to do, you believe the overall, just the passion that comes out of this guy, this real life dude, channeled through Andrew Garfield. So if you haven't had a chance, it's on Netflix. I loved it. I really loved it. And it's actually really funny. When I was doing this list, I was coming up with the list. I'm like, musicals. And you don't see those on the list too often for me. So number 6, West Side Story, which is the opposite of what I was just talking about with musicals that just kind of pop in to song out of nowhere. You're not going to break into a song right before you're doing a knife battle. But this is, people are, it's a remake. I don't find this to be a remake. I find this to be a retelling of a Broadway show. This is Steven Spielberg's telling of it, the same way like people, they remade the 1961 movie. He's remaking a story that he loved as a kid, that he saw in the theater. And to me, it was no different than, I went to theater school at Florida State, right? So it's no different anytime no matter where you go over time. Hamilton, okay? Hamilton has been played by different characters. It's been played. Lin-Manuel Miranda is not in the show anymore, but they still do the interpretation of the show, whether it's at the Pantages or wherever there's other places that people put it on, or throughout time, people have been doing Othello and things of that nature. And it's not, they're remaking it. They're just they're doing it again. So Spielberg didn't put it on stage; he put it on film, and he put it out there, and it was incredible because I didn't know what to think. And I love the 1961 version. The overall tone and everything else too. Blasphemy maybe to say, I felt a little bit more authentic in Spielberg's version. There were some great performances all the way around that were just incredible. Just incredible. And just some of this cast that I want to bring up here, because I didn't really know what to expect. I know that Rachel Zegler, by the way, just blew me away. She blew me away. So who is? I know she came from YouTube. And she is a massive, massive star. Ariana DeBose is another one who popped in this movie for me. Obviously, great having back the great Rita Moreno. David Alvarez, who played Bernardo. The movie didn't do very well in the theater, but I think that is because of the musicals. I don't think people really want to see musicals. I think Tick, Tick, Boom was in the theater and not just a Netflix movie. Wouldn't have done very well either. Musicals don't pop. They just don't. They don't pop. And, you get your rare exceptions sometimes, with whether it's Greatest Showman or something along those lines. It also depends where we are in the pandemic, what movies are coming out. It was a bummer because I really wanted to see that movie do well because I loved it. I was blown away by it. By the way the musical numbers, the way that they were recreated, some of the new changes that he put in there, the way he restructured some of it, that it actually made more sense. There's some stuff that Spielberg does here that's just beautiful. It's really a beautiful, beautiful film, and I loved it. So that's why it's number 6 for me. All right, now we're getting into the top 5. Oh, that's 6. Top 5. Going to shock some more people with this one. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, I know there's some people who don't like this movie, and I loved it. It's far superior to what they put out in the first time. You see why. This is not a movie that should have come out in the theaters because it's a 4-hour movie. And there's so much detail involved in this film. And you can see, once again, as I was talking about passion, you can see the passion that was in there and the narrative. And it is, to me, one of the best DC movies in that DC universe or DCU, whatever they called it. But it is the one that really develops all of these characters and inside the story that has been told. I found myself just glued to the television watching it. It was a good kind of streaming event. And there were a few streaming events, some that didn't go well for some studios and some that did. And this one did. And it was meant for it. And it's beautiful. It is some of the best stuff that I think not only Zack Snyder has done, but I think some of the stuff that certainly you can understand why, besides other things, but why Ray Fisher was upset, because Cyborg has such a great role in this, and it's emotional, and it's great, and the Flash has more to do. Everybody has more to do. Obviously, with a 4-hour movie, you hope so, but they do, and it all combines. So I loved this movie. I'm excited to watch it again when I have the opportunity to. But yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised how much I love this movie. So that's what comes in for me at number 5. Now, again, I know a lot of people aren't going to agree. My list, not yours. 4 is King Richard. Another movie that a lot of times during Oscar season, you hear about these movies that everybody has great performances on, and you're like, okay, so you're normally what happens in these biopics, it's that the performances are great, and the movies are just okay. Most of the time, they're like, it's fine. Good movie, not great. Also, the flip side of that is, too, I had just watched Tick, Tick, Boom and said, Garfield's got this. It's Garfield's movie. It's his award to lose. And then I watched King Richard, and I said, nobody's touching Will Smith in this movie, and he's winning. He's absolutely winning, playing Richard Williams. And man, this movie just hit for me. I don't know if it's because I'm a dad with 2 daughters. They're certainly not great tennis players, but the love and the stuff that you want for them, and the idea of just wanting the best for your children, but still at the same time, what does it cost to get them there? And this is his best performance to me since Pursuit of Happiness. When Will Smith is really dialed into something, he just not only is likable, but he's also you're not supposed to like him at times, but you're also supposed to understand him in this movie. And he does things. There's sadness. There is there are times you're like, oh man, this guy could be such a prick. There's other times you're like, I see why he's doing what he's doing. You understand it, and you see what Will Smith did to get here. There's a behind the scenes thing that they show, and I think they even have it on HBO Max, where he's talking to the real Williams sisters, and he's still in character. You can tell he's still in character when he's talking to them, because he's so dialed into it. And it's not just Will Smith; it's performances. Again, I want to get everybody's names here right, because it's really it's a phenomenal film with a great ensemble cast. I'm going to read some of the actors and actresses. So Will Smith, John Bernthal, by the way, should be nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He's usually always great, but he does something very different in this movie as the tennis coach that I thought was amazing. Sanyaya Sidney plays Venus Williams. Demi Singleton plays Serena. Both these girls, I'd like to see them nominated. I thought they were fantastic. Definitely, I hope that I get this right. Anjuan Ellis plays Brandy Williams. So many great performances overall in this movie, and it is something that I knew that I was going to probably be saying Will Smith did a great job. Didn't know I was saying how great of a job he did, and I didn't know how great I would think the movie was. So the movie's great. I love that movie. So to me, that comes in at number 4, King Richard. All right, so then we move to number 3. Spider-Man No Way Home. Talk about a fun movie experience and a big event film. It's the movie that people are saying saved the box office this year. It crossed $1 billion, did it without China. Definitely didn't think that was going to happen at all. Didn't think people were ready to go back to the theater, but this movie proved obviously that they were. I don't want to spoil anything on this particular review, but there's some big moments that happen in this movie that I think that people caught wind of and people wanted to see, and the understanding of what was going to happen. and they build it as the end game for Spider-Man, and I think that's exactly what happened, and I think they delivered on that promise. I thought there was great humor in it. I thought there was a lot of emotion in it. I thought it was a nice tie-in to everything that they have done in this trilogy of Tom Holland films. I think it was a great MCU setup as the MCU starts to move inside of this new phase, inside of the multiverse, and inside of the different things that they've set up in television shows. And as they move closer and closer inside of this phase, it starts to all wrap together. And I thought it was done very well. Tom Holland is a major movie star before. I think he's even more so now. Zendaya is there's just something about her. She's so damn likable. So I'm impressed of her career thus far. Want to see more of what she's going to do. But this movie, I cannot wait to see it again. It's one of the better MCU films I think that has been out there. It obviously has a lot of history behind it. There's some, and it's in the trailer. So Willem Dafoe, I think, has an outstanding performance in this. They're pushing for Oscar stuff. I don't think that the Academy is ever going to get there on that. Do I think that Willem Dafoe could be or should be nominated? I do. Tom Holland, I don't think he's going to have a shot, although I can understand the press by not only the studio, but for the fans of it. But I don't see that happening. I don't see it happening at all. But Spider-Man No Way Home was a real fun ride for me, man. I enjoyed it a lot. And coming in at number 2 is The Suicide Squad, another movie that I saw very late. I saw when I did my comic book movie ranking. This came in number 1 for me. And when I talked about it, there's one guy was like, it's hilarious because he didn't see the movie for like 4 months, and now it's number 1. It took me a while to see it. And I don't know if it was, I think it was a lot of different reasons why I didn't see it, right? It wasn't for lack of wanting to see it. It was just I can catch it when I catch it. I caught it right as it was leaving HBO Max. I think the first reason why, and I saw a lot of this in the comments too, was the first one I really didn't like, Suicide Squad. Really didn't like it. I like David Ayer. I just didn't like that movie. Thought it was a really silly music video. And I know there's a lot of music in this one, but I thought the music was used more so as a character and played much better. Second reason why was I've always been a fan of James Gunn, but not a massive fan of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Certainly thought Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was fun, but don't love it like everybody else. But this movie, man, it just worked for me. I thought it was hilarious. I thought that it was the best John Cena's ever been. Idris Elba was a great lead in this film. Everybody in this movie just plays. King Shark, is that his name? I don't know. By Stallone, and the best Margot Robbie's been as Harley Quinn, David Dastmalchian as Polka Dot Man. So many great performances and great lines, and I laughed throughout the whole damn thing. Yeah, it's gratuitous, but it's and I've said this a few times through a lot of movies in this, probably why they're on my list, gorgeous. This is one of the most beautifully shot films I think James Gunn's ever done, and it really blew me away watching it. I loved this movie. I loved it. The Suicide Squad to me was, I was so glad I own it on physical media, and I'm going to watch it over and over and over again because I just think it's a very special film. Some people think it's a little too over the top. I don't care. To me, that kind of over the top works. So that was number 2. That was it. So what's number 1? Maybe you guessed it at this point. Maybe you didn't. Dune. See, I like to be shocked. And I think that's why a lot of these movies have high spots for me on the list. Because I'm being shocked. If you followed my career at all in this space, I'm a science fiction person. I like science fiction. I like science fiction fantasy. I like those types of things. And Dune was the thing that Star Wars was one of the things that Star Wars was inspired by, was the novel of Dune. People don't realize that. They always think it's a lot of people. I've never seen the original, the David Lynch thing. That's where it came from. I think, no, it did not come from the David Lynch one. I didn't like the David Lynch one. And when you compare the two of them, David Lynch one's pretty damn silly. And to be fair, 1984 did not have the type of tools that they have now to make these types of movies. And it is just such an accomplishment, this film. And I'm so glad it did well in order to get another sequel, which cannot wait. Villeneuve did such a great job with this movie, man. And what a cast. You know, I mentioned Zendaya before, Timothy Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, Stellan Skarsgård, Javier Bardem, Dave Bautista, Josh Brolin, Charlotte Rampling, David Dastmalchian again. I mean, what? Shang-Chi, so many great performances. And Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling's in this movie? What are you talking about? Is he in part 2 or something? It's not true. Is he? Is he just like running around with an alien or something? I don't know. You guys tell me in the comments. I didn't know that he was in this movie. Anyway, point is the score by Hans Zimmer. I have been screaming from the heavens or to the heavens. Maybe I'm from the heavens. No, I'm not. Depends on what heavens you're talking about. The hell am I talking about? Nobody knows. I've been screaming to the heavens and saying, hey, listen. A lot of TV series. That's how you got to do it. You got to do TV series. You don't need movies. And I don't doing TV. But this is a movie that should have been a movie, a 2-part movie. And yes, I saw it on my TV, and I saw it with surround sound. I know. People saying you should have seen it on IMAX. I didn't have the chance to at the time. But I will certainly be seeing part 2 in the theaters because that's the agreement that Denis Villeneuve made. He said, I'll do it, but it ain't going on streaming right away. Give me a window. And there's so many great themes in this movie. As I mentioned, the performances, it is clever. It is detailed, very detailed, and you got to pay attention to it. I like that. I like the movies that you got to think, you got to listen, you got to pay attention. It's rich with lore. The history, you believe everything that was lived in. It was like Game of Thrones, and there was someone, a lot of people saying that this is Star Wars for adults. Well, Star Wars is for adults and children. So I don't, but this is science fiction. Definitely I think is way more structured towards adults than it is for children, which I think is fair. But once again, an incredibly shot film. Powerful film, powerful performances. Definitely disagree with people. They say Timothy Chalamet had nothing to do, and he's just kind of a side character. Very strong performance by Timothy Chalamet, who takes us through this thing. Jason Momoa, career performance, I think, for sure. Josh Brolin has great moments. Rebecca Ferguson is just such an outstanding actress, and what she's able to do. And this, you can see, as I mentioned, how the inspiration for Star Wars came. You can see where the Force was inspired from in this movie. So many great things. Another movie can't wait to dive into and watch again. That's one of the things about these movies that I'm listing here in 2021. There's a lot of rewatchable movies that I want to see again and watch over and over and over. And that's why this is a number 1 for me. So that's it. That's my number 1, Dune. So just to break down real quick, Dune comes in at number 1. Number 2 is The Suicide Squad. Number 3, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 4, King Richard. 5, Zack Snyder's Justice League. 6, West Side Story. 7, Tick Tick Boom. 8, Free Guy. 9, Eternals. And 10, Val. So, that was my list. That was it. That was 2021, man. I want to thank all of you guys for joining me on this new venture here. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Got a lot of different things going on in this channel. Hit that notification button. We have a show called The Big Thing, which I do Monday. It'll be Monday, Thursday, Friday now. Sith Council will be on Wednesdays because that's our Boba Fett reviews. So please check that out. I do reviews, I do reactions, do all of it. So I am so excited to be back doing this stuff, and one of the main reasons, to be honest, is the interaction and the conversations I've been having with you guys, and the positive thoughts and the positive conversations that I've been having with you. So thank you for your feedback. Thank you for everything. Thank you for a great 2021. As I mentioned, we've only really been doing this on this channel for 4 months. Looking forward to building it out through 2022. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. And list your movies. That's the main thing. Please list your movies. I want to hear about them. I want to hear maybe some things that I didn't see. I know there's a lot of movies that I haven't had a chance to see. I didn't finish Don't Look Up yet. I didn't finish, what was the other one? Power of the Dog. There's some other movies I need to check out. I didn't finish Licorice Pizza yet. I had started to, but why didn't you finish these movies? Because I'm a father of 2, and my wife and I get very little sleep. So we try to Peace it out. So anyway, that's it. I want to know, though, are there other things that I should be checking out? I hope you enjoyed the list. I appreciate it. And that's my list. Top 10 best movies of the year. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.